Do not feed her. She is not a customer.
Rain hammered the windows of Hartwell Table on the edge of Cedar Falls, Ohio, and inside, a single sentence stopped every fork in midair. Do not feed her. She is not a customer. Grant Maddox said it loud enough for the whole diner to hear. In the corner booth sat a woman in a soaked gray coat, her hands wrapped around an empty paper cup like it still held warmth. She called herself Ellie Warren. The waitress had already looked her up and down, then muttered that this was not a shelter. A man in a blue shirt laughed under his breath. A woman clutched her purse tighter. Ellie lowered her eyes and said nothing, because shame does not argue back. That was the moment Caleb Mercer walked in, soaked from his shift, $6.80 in his pocket, and a small bag from the pharmacy under his arm. He did not look like anyone's hero. His jacket was worn thin at the cuffs. His boots still carried last winter's salt stains. At home, his 8-year-old daughter Nora was waiting above a shuttered hardware store, probably drawing houses with yellow windows, the way she always did when she wanted the world to feel safe. He had promised her soup and bread tonight. Nothing fancy, just enough. He paid with folded bills warmed by his palm and carried the tray toward his table. Then he heard Grant tell someone to escort the woman out. Ellie stood slowly, cheeks burning with shame, not anger. I just needed to sit for a minute, she said. Then sit outside, Grant answered, and 3 people laughed. Caleb stopped. He looked at Ellie, then at the door where rain lashed the sidewalk sideways. And in that second, he made a choice that would end up costing him more than he could imagine. He walked over and set his tray down in front of her. She is a customer tonight, he said quietly. Grant sized him up with a cold smile. And who exactly are you? Just a man sharing dinner, Caleb answered. Someone in the back muttered, with what money? Caleb heard it. He said nothing back. Instead, he folded one slice of bread into a napkin and slid it into his jacket pocket, saving it for Nora, then told Ellie to eat while it was still hot. She looked at him like he had handed her something far bigger than soup. Before we go further, drop the city you're watching from in the comments, and if you believe kindness still means something, hit like and subscribe to Aftermath Tales, because stories like this one are exactly why this channel exists. Now here's the twist nobody in that diner could have guessed. The woman in the gray coat was not homeless. She was Evelyn Hartwell, the CEO of the entire company that owned every table, every sign, and every secret in that building. She had walked in disguised, testing her own stores after an anonymous envelope landed on her desk that morning containing a worker's complaint, photos of good food thrown in dumpsters, and one chilling line: they are using your name to turn hungry people away. Caleb had no idea who she really was, and that made his kindness even more powerful, because he wasn't performing for anyone. He simply couldn't stand watching a hungry woman be humiliated. Grant leaned in, smirking. You think this makes you noble? No, Caleb said. I think it makes her warm for 10 minutes. The room went quiet, not because he'd shamed them, but because he'd refused to. 10 years earlier, Caleb had a real career, a real house, a wife named Hannah who filled the place with laughter. Then Hannah got sick. Then came the bills. Then the house was gone. Then Hannah was gone too, and Caleb was left alone with Nora and a whispered promise beside a hospital bed. Keep her safe. Keep her kind. Never let her think love is about money. Since then, every single day had been a negotiation with survival, night shifts at a warehouse, weekend repair jobs, a fridge that echoed when Nora opened it. What terrified him most wasn't hunger. It was the manila envelope from Family Services sitting on his kitchen table, threatening to review his custody over stability he couldn't afford to prove. Back in the diner, Ellie took a small bite of soup, and something in her chest cracked open. She noticed the folded napkin in his pocket, the careful way he'd saved half a slice of bread for someone he loved more than his own hunger. Grant only saw a poor man wasting food. He didn't see a father protecting the last piece of dignity he had left. Grant wasn't finished. He recognized Caleb's name, connected him to a warehouse complaint about food being thrown away instead of donated, and turned the whole room against him, mocking his poverty, then mocking his daughter. Tell me, is this how you feed her? Giving away dinner so strangers can clap for you? Caleb's voice stayed low and steady. Leave my daughter out of this. Grant smiled wider, reached out, and knocked the tray aside. The bowl tipped. Soup spilled across the table and onto Caleb's boots. Nobody laughed this time. Caleb didn't yell. He knelt down and wiped the mess himself, not because Grant deserved it, but because he'd once told Nora the world only gets better when someone chooses to make it better. Ellie watched him clean up a mess he never made, and understood, more clearly than any report ever could, exactly what kind of man Grant Maddox really was underneath the suit. By the next morning, a stranger had posted a video, but it was cut to make Caleb look like the villain, an angry warehouse worker causing a scene. It spread through Cedar Falls, then Columbus, then everywhere. His supervisor called at dawn to suspend him. Family Services called an hour later, demanding new proof of stable income. Nora woke up, saw the envelope on the table, and asked the question that shattered him completely. Daddy, are they going to take me away? Meanwhile, 42 floors above the city, Evelyn Hartwell watched the real footage from every camera angle. No edits, no cuts. She saw Grant's cruelty in full. She saw Caleb hand over his only meal without hesitation. She saw him drape his own jacket over a stranger's shoulders in the rain and wait with her at the bus stop, asking for nothing, not even her name. She saw him check on that folded, damp piece of bread like it was the only treasure he had left. Find him, she told her assistant. Not for legal, for justice. That afternoon, the boardroom filled with executives ready to protect the brand, calling Caleb's behavior disruptive. Evelyn walked in, still wearing the same soaked gray coat from the night before. Sit down, she told Grant. We have a strategy, he said. No, she replied. You have a cover story. Then she played the footage, every second of it, the real version this time. The room went ice cold as they watched Grant humiliate a grieving father on camera and get caught doing it. He filed false complaints. Grant tried, voice cracking. Evelyn clicked to the next slide. Photos of edible food dumped behind stores. Emails proving Grant approved it, and Caleb's ignored complaint from 6 weeks earlier. Mr. Mercer told the truth before any of us were brave enough to listen, she said. Then she looked Grant dead in the eye. Effective immediately. You're terminated. This company sells food. If hunger doesn't move us, we have no business being in this business. That evening, Caleb sat on Nora's bed, taping plastic over a drafty window when 3 soft knocks hit the door. He expected another notice, another problem. Instead, Evelyn Hartwell stood there, no disguise this time, holding a warm meal and years of guilt in her eyes. Ellie, he whispered. She shook her head. Evelyn Hartwell. She handed him a folder. His suspension lifted, back pay approved, and a real job offer. Community meals coordinator. Steady pay, real benefits. Enough to finally make Family Services stop treating poverty like a crime. Is this pity? He asked carefully. "No," she said. "This is justice. Just very late." Nora peeked around the corner, holding half a cookie wrapped in a napkin, and offered it to Evelyn without hesitation. "We share things here." That one line broke Evelyn more than any boardroom confrontation ever could. 6 months later, every Hartwell table location had a small table by the front window with a simple sign, "Reserved for anyone hungry, no purchase necessary, no explanation required." In Cedar Falls, right beside that sign, hung a framed paper napkin with a purple crayon heart and a backward letter N. Caleb never gave speeches about it. He just showed up every morning, greeted the staff by name, and made sure no tired stranger in a wet coat was ever made to feel small again. Grant Maddox's name vanished from the company completely. But one quiet, half-starved father changed the way an entire company measured success, not just in profit, but in warm bowls served and doors kept open for people who needed them most. If this story moved you even a little, tell us in the comments what you would have done in that diner, and if you want more real, raw stories like this one. Make sure you're subscribed to Aftermath Tales, because we're just getting started.